But there's a movie that came out a few months ago called Fly Me to the Moon, and it's basically a movie about how they faked the moon landing and they turned it into a comedy.
Okay.
So do you believe that we have landed on the moon, or do you believe that the moon landing was faked?
I believe it was fake.
And what's your evidence on believing that the moon landing was fake?
There's a lot of research that has come out, or videos that have come out, and just the video that they put out, it just seems very fake. And how come we haven't been to the moon since then? And also they did a phone call from the moon to Earth. That was like years and years ago. I don't believe we had that technology to do that at that moment. So yeah, I feel like that's pretty fake.
Do you think that we landed on the moon, or do you think that the moon landing was faked?
I mean, I think we did. I could be wrong, but I would say we did, yeah. I could be wrong, but who knows?
And like, if you were to see evidence of NASA faking going to space, like if you saw astronauts doing a backflip and someone grabbed a wire harness and stopped them from flipping, or maybe there was green screens in the background, if you saw NASA faking space, what would you think about that? Would that change your thoughts about if we've been to space or not?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Do you believe that the moon landing was faked, or do you believe that we landed on the moon?
What? Shoot. I don't know. Because they got some videos of, people being tugged on the shirt when they're, taking the videos or whatever they did before, preparations for the moon landing, or they have like videos about it where people are just finding mistakes and how it just doesn't make sense. But also Elon just sent 10 people to outer space, so it's just like, I don't know at this point.
I think we could agree that if space is real, NASA shouldn't have any reason to fake going to space.
Yeah.
So if you saw videos of NASA faking going to space, whether they have a green screen in the background or whether someone's doing a backflip and someone tugs on their wire harness to stop them from flipping, what would you think if you saw actual evidence of astronauts faking going to space?
I don't know what I would think. I still think like the world is round, not flat, and I still believe in the moon landing. But some of these videos that are coming out, yeah, they're interesting for sure.
There's a movie that came out this year called Fly Me to the Moon, and it has a lot of big name actors in it. And basically it's a comedy movie about how they faked the moon landing. So I wanted to ask you, do you think that the moon landing was actually faked, or do you think that we have landed on the moon?
That's a really difficult one to answer, just for the sole fact of I don't believe we'd reached the moon when we said we did. We were just trying to win in the arms race. We may have went like years later, but everything about that video that they posted, there's no way like we got all that at the time we did. Especially with all the evidence in the video, like that flag waving, there's no wind on the moon. But I think we did land on the moon, just not at that time period.
If space is a real place, NASA shouldn't have any reason to fake going to space. So let's say you saw video evidence of NASA faking space, like they're using green screen backgrounds, or maybe someone does a backflip and they look like they're in zero gravity, but someone pulls on their wire and tugs onto them. What would you think if you saw NASA faking going to space? Would that change your perception on things?
Not really. I don't really trust NASA, or I'll respect y'all, like I said, but I'm not gonna get involved with you. There's too many secret things that are going on. I mean, NASA owns a portion of the Grand Canyon. You know that?
I've heard about that.
Yeah. There's too many things going on that we don't know about that they won't tell us. So I wouldn't trust them with a 10-foot pole.
Do you think that we landed on the moon, or do you think that the moon landing was faked?
I think the 1969 moon landing was fake, just because of, again, a big ego thing. We were in a huge space race. The Red Scare, people were hysteria, mass hysteria was going around over communism and things like that. Just because of lack of knowledge and that fear that a lot of people just live in. I think, yeah, that moon landing was fake. There's a lot of evidence to prove that it wasn't, and I'm big on evidence. If you can show me if it's something that I can physically see or touch, yeah. I used to, in Rockwell High School, I started a poetry and conspiracy club, and so we would talk about things like that. And yeah, and we all just talked about how there's too much evidence there for for it to be real. Not that I don't think the moon isn't real, the space isn't real, or whatever. I do think that stuff's real, but I think what the government's doing is being run by egos. So, yeah.
You know, NASA is the pinnacle of space agencies, right?
Yeah.
So if space is a real place, NASA shouldn't have any reason to fake going to space. So if you saw videos of NASA faking going to space, whether they had a green screen in the background or whether they had astronauts doing backflips and someone grabs their wire harness, would that change your perception on whether we live on a globe or anything like that?
I think egos come into play more than the reality of it and the facts of it. I think with the whole space race and faking things, I think that's a big ego thing. I think those things do exist. Whether we have gotten there or not is also a big question, you know, but that doesn't change the way that I see it. Because, I mean, you can look up, you can see stars. Whether we're in a container with poked holes in it or not is, you know, also another question. Yeah. But from what I've seen and from what I believe, I think it's an ego thing of this country has to be better than that country. And we're so focused on the here and now that if we just work together, we could get somewhere. Yeah. But, you know, I think it's a big ego thing. I know I keep saying that, but it really is. If I have to be better than you, I have to prove that I did this first, or I did it better, or I did it whatever. And once we can get past that ego part, the world would be a lot better.
Do you believe that we've landed on the moon, or do you believe that the moon landing was faked?
I don't know because I've come across conflicting, you know, information. So I feel like it's possible that it could have been faked. I'm not really even sure, you know. There have been people that say that the moon is kind of like a large ship or mothership or whatever. It's not an actual planet, and
interesting.
You know, it's a lot more to that. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure.